If you're about to scroll, hold on for just 1 minute, because today I want to tell you a story about a man who divorced his wife because of one sentence from their 6-year-old son. Years later, he showed up at her door, broke, desperate, and full of regret. But by then, she was living in a Manhattan penthouse, married to a billionaire who treated her like the rarest diamond on earth. So if your boss is shouting in the background or you're pretending to work while watching this, stay with me. Because this is not just a story. This is a warning about ego, arrogance, and what happens when you don't value the person who would have died for you. Let's start on a sunny Saturday with balloons, cake, and a little boy who had no idea his one innocent sentence was about to shatter his mother's life. Our story takes place in Austin, Texas. Sarah was 28, a full-time mom, and the kind of woman who remembered everyone's favorite coffee order but constantly forgot to eat her own lunch. She had married Ethan when she was just 22. He was the charming, ambitious startup guy, always on the phone, always one deal away from changing their lives. And to be fair, he did well. Nice house in the suburbs, Tesla in the driveway, private school for their son Noah. From the outside, they looked perfect. On the inside, Sarah was exhausted, lonely, and slowly disappearing. But she stayed, for Noah, for the family she prayed would one day feel like a real home. That Saturday was Noah's 6th birthday. Balloons everywhere, kids screaming, sugar flying around like confetti from heaven and hell at the same time. Sarah had been up since 4 a.m. She baked the cake, decorated the house, set up the games, packed the goodie bags, everything. At 11 a.m., Ethan finally walked in. Expensive watch, designer shirt, smelling like that cologne people wear when they want you to know they're successful. Ethan, hey, sorry I'm late. Traffic. If you've ever had someone say traffic when you know it was just poor time management, you understand how Sarah felt. Behind him walked Ava. Blonde, perfect makeup, slim dress, high heels. She was Ethan's business partner, the one he was always having meetings with. Sarah knew her face from Instagram. She knew the way Ethan smiled when her name popped up on his phone. She knew the way he suddenly started going to the gym at 10 p.m. But she swallowed it, like she always did, for Noah. The kids sang happy birthday. Noah blew out the candles, and for a moment, everything felt okay. Then came the sentence. The kids ran outside to play. Sarah was in the kitchen, cutting slices of cake. Ethan, Ava, a few friends, and family were in the living room. Noah ran in, face glowing, cake on his cheek. Noah, Daddy, Daddy, I told my teacher that Ava is my new mom, and real mom is just the nanny who lives here. Pat. Beat. Silent. The room went silent. The knife in Sarah's hand almost slipped. She slowly looked up and saw Ava's awkward smile. But what hurt the most wasn't Ava. It was Ethan. The way he didn't correct Noah. The way his jaw tensed. The way he looked at Sarah like she was the problem. That night, after the guests left and the balloons started to sink, Sarah walked into their bedroom. Sarah, Ethan, why would our son think that? Who has been telling him that Ava is his new mom? Ethan, you're overreacting. He's a kid. Kids say things. Sarah, kids don't invent that. He said I'm the nanny. The nanny. Ethan, well, look at you, Sarah. Sweatpants, messy bun, always tired. You don't work. You barely leave the house. What do you want me to do? Pretend everything is fine? That sentence cut deeper than anything Noah had said. Sarah, so that's it? I gave up my career, my body, my sleep for our son? And you go around making jokes that I'm the nanny? Ethan finally snapped his phone down and stood up. I'm tired of your drama, Sarah. I'm the one paying the bills. I gave you this house. I gave you this life. And now you want to interrogate me because a 6-year-old said something stupid? No. I want to know why my son believes I've been replaced and why he calls her his new mom. Ethan stepped closer, voice low. Maybe because Ava actually makes me feel supported. She doesn't nag, she doesn't complain, she doesn't make me feel like I'm failing every day. Sarah felt her heart drop. Her ears rang. She stared at the man she once believed she would grow old with. Sarah, so it's true. You're in love with her? Ethan didn't answer. That silence was enough.
The next morning, Yoa was eating cereal at the table, legs dangling from the chair. Mom, are you mad at Daddy? He said if you're too grumpy, maybe I can live with him and Ava. She said she'd be my new mom for real. That was it. That was the second knife twisted by the first sentence. But Sarah didn't scream. She didn't throw a plate. She just broke quietly on the inside. That week, Ethan came home with divorce papers. Ethan, I think this is best for all of us. You're not happy. I'm not happy. No one needs stability. You'll get some money, the car, and an apartment. I'll take care of the school fees. And yes, I'll have primary custody. Sarah, primary custody? Ethan, I'm his mother. Ethan, a mother who's depressed, negative, and obsessed with conflict? I have the better job, the better lawyer, the better house. Let's not make this ugly. Quick reminder, if you ever hear someone say, let's not make this ugly, right after they stab you in the back, it's already ugly. They just don't want witnesses. The day they went to sign the divorce papers, Sarah's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the pen. She signed anyway. She walked out of that courtroom with puffy eyes, a broken heart, and a small suitcase of clothes. Ethan walked out with the house, the business, the car, and most of Noah's time. He even leaned in and whispered, "You'll be back. When the money runs out, when you realize you can't survive without me, you'll beg me to take you back. Don't take too long, okay?" Sarah didn't answer. She just looked at him and thought, one day, you'll choke on those words. Sarah moved into a tiny one-bedroom apartment on the wrong side of town. For the first time in years, the kitchen was quiet. No little feet running. No cartoons. No, "Mom, can I have juice?" Just silence and the hum of the cheap refrigerator. She got a job cleaning offices at night. Then a second job serving coffee in a small cafe during the day. She cried in the shower so neighbors wouldn't hear. She slept with her phone on her chest, waiting for photos of Noah. Most days, Ethan didn't bother to send any. But here's where the story changes. Because what Ethan and the world didn't know was that before she became just a mom, she had been something else. She had studied data science and applied mathematics. She was one semester away from her master's degree when she got pregnant. She dropped out, got married, and poured everything into making a perfect family. Somewhere between diapers and dishes, she forgot that her brain was a weapon. One night, after a long shift cleaning offices downtown, she walked into a 27th floor conference room. It was 2 a.m. The city was shining outside like a galaxy. On the whiteboard, someone had left a messy equation, charts, and projections about a new fintech startup trying to predict credit risks using AI. Sarah stood there in her cleaning uniform, then took the marker and corrected their formula. You know it's over for your enemies when the cleaner starts fixing your math. She didn't notice anyone was watching until she heard a voice behind her. Man, that's actually the correction I was looking for. Most of my team missed it. Sarah turned around, startled. The man standing at the door was tall, maybe late 30s, suit jacket off, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. His name was Liam Carter. founder and CEO of Carter Analytics. She recognized his face from a magazine cover someone had left in the lobby. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have touched it was wrong and my brain wouldn't let me leave it like that. And relax. You're the first person in this building who's corrected me in 2 years. What's your name?" "Sarah. I clean the offices and apparently do advanced probability in your free time." He walked to the board, studied what she had written, and nodded slowly. "Where did you learn to do this?" Sarah hesitated. It had been so long since anyone cared. "I used to study math, data science. I was almost done. Then I got pregnant. I got married. Life happened." "Are you still interested in that field?" Sarah laughed quietly. "I'm interested in paying rent this month." Liam chuckled. "What if I told you I have a trainee analyst position open? Part-time to start, flexible hours, real pay. You'd have to work hard, but from what I see, you're already doing that." Sarah stared at him, unsure if this was a joke. "You'd hire your cleaner?" "I'd hire talent. And right now, the most talented person in this room is the woman holding the marker, not the guy with his name on the door." That was the first night. Sarah went home with something new. Not money, not promises. Hope.
The next months were brutal. Sarah cleaned at night, studied statistics and coding tutorials between shifts, then spent her afternoons at Carter Analytics, learning like a woman possessed. Some people learn to survive. Sarah was learning to never be powerless again. Liam noticed the fire in her, the way she took feedback, the way she walked into meetings quietly, then asked one question that made the entire room rethink their model. She started as an intern, then junior data analyst, then lead on a small project. Within 3 years, she became one of the core brains behind Carter Analytics' biggest product, a risk engine that later got acquired by a major Wall Street firm for over $1.4 billion. And yes, before you ask, Liam made her a partner. A real one, not just in business. Let's talk about love for a second. Liam didn't save Sarah. He saw her. He respected her. He didn't ask her to make coffee in meetings. He asked her to explain her models. He didn't tell her she was just a mom who doesn't understand business. He told investors, "If you want to understand our product, talk to Sarah. She built half of it." Over time, late-night debugging turned into talking about childhoods, fears, dreams. One night after a successful pitch in New York, they were walking across the Brooklyn Bridge. The city lights reflected in the water, and the wind kept trying to steal her hair. "Liam, do you ever regret it, Sarah?" "Sarah, regret what?" "Liam, leaving, starting over, choosing this instead of going back to a comfortable prison." Sarah thought about Ethan calling her dramatic, about Noah saying, "Ava is my new mom," about standing in a silent apartment wondering if she had failed as a woman, a wife, a mother. "Sarah, every day is hard. But no, I don't regret leaving someone who couldn't see my worth. I regret staying that long." Liam stopped walking. He turned her gently to face him. "Liam, good, because I see it. And if you ever forget again, I'll remind you." That night, on the bridge, under a sky full of indifferent stars, Sarah let herself fall in love again. This time, with a man who didn't need to be the hero, just a partner. 2 years later, they got married in a small ceremony in Central Park. Noah, now a teenager, stood on Sarah's side. Yes, some things changed. Over the years, Ethan got busier. Ava got less patient. Noah started to see who really showed up for him, who called, who remembered his tests, his games, his favorite snacks. Slowly, painfully, he drifted back towards his mother. Courts changed custody. Ethan fought, then got tired. By the time Sarah walked down the aisle in a simple white dress, Noah whispered, "Mom, You look happy. Like, really happy. I'm glad you didn't go back to him. Sarah squeezed his hand. Me too, baby. Me too. Years passed. Liam's company grew. They moved into a beautiful penthouse in Manhattan. Not loud rich, just elegant. Books, plants, sunlight, and a piano Sarah never quite learned to play. She co-founded a foundation helping single mothers re-enter tech. She gave talks about resilience, data, and the cost of underestimating a woman who loves you. And then, a rainy Thursday afternoon, the past knocked on her door. The intercom buzzed. Intercom. Mrs. Carter, there's a man downstairs named Ethan Miller. He insists he knows you. For a second, Sarah felt like the air was sucked out of the room. Memories flashed, balloons, divorce papers, that cold whisper, "You'll be back." Sarah, send him up. When the elevator doors opened, Ethan stepped out. He looked smaller, not physically, but in spirit. The expensive watch was gone. His eyes were tired. There were lines on his face that hadn't been there before. He looked around the penthouse, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city spread out below like a map of second chances. Ethan, wow, so this is where you ended up. Sarah stood by the kitchen island, a cup of tea in her hand. No shaking, no tears, just quiet strength. Sarah, why are you here, Ethan? Ethan shoved his hands into his pockets. It's been a tough few years. The company went under, investors pulled out. Ava left, took what she could and ran. Noah doesn't talk to me much. And then I saw you on TV, giving that talk. They called you Sarah Carter, the mathematical mind behind one of Wall Street's most powerful AI engines. He smiled bitterly. Guess the nanny turned out okay. Sarah didn't smile. I worked hard. I started from nothing. Again. Ethan stepped closer. Look, Sarah, we were young. I was stupid. I didn't know how to handle pressure. I made mistakes. Big ones. But maybe we could try again. I don't expect things to go back to the way they were, but we share a son. We shared a life. Maybe we could, I don't know, start over. You, me, like before.
Sarah looked at him for a long moment. Then she laughed softly, not cruelly, just tired. Sarah, Ethan, you didn't just make mistakes. You taught our son that I was replaceable. You let him believe another woman was his new mom. You used your money to buy control, then called it love. And when I broke, you handed me a pen and said, let's not make this ugly. Ethan looked down. Ethan, I know. And I'm sorry, Sarah, I am. I lost everything. And now I realize the only thing worth having was you. At that moment, the front door opened. Liam. Hey, love, sorry I'm late. The board meeting ran over and... He stopped when he saw Ethan. Liam glanced at Sarah. She nodded slightly, calm. Sarah, Ethan, this is my husband, Liam. Ethan's eyebrows rose. Your husband? He looked at Liam. The quiet confidence, the ease with which he walked over, kissed Sarah gently on the forehead, and rested his hand on her back like she was the most valuable thing in the room. Liam, nice to meet you. I've heard almost nothing about you. Sarah smiled a little at that. Ethan, so you're the billionaire? Depends which magazine you read. You know you've leveled up when the man who once told you you'd beg to come back is now standing in your living room trying not to look impressed by your new husband. Ethan cleared his throat. Ethan, I can see you're doing well. I'm happy for you. Really. I just, I hoped maybe we could rewrite things. For Noah. For us. Sarah. Ethan, I don't hate you. I don't wish you harm. But I don't owe you another chance. The day you slid those divorce papers towards me, you said I would come back when I realized I couldn't live without you. You were wrong. I learned to live without you. I learned to live for me. And now, I choose a different life. Not because Liam is a billionaire, but because he is kind. Because he saw my worth before the world did. Because my son doesn't have to wonder who his mother is in this home. Ethan swallowed, eyes glassy. So, that's it? There's no way back? Sarah shook her head softly. Sarah, there is a way forward. Be a better father. Apologize to Noah. Go to therapy. Fix your life. But me? I've already moved on. Emotionally, spiritually, legally. You lost the right to stand next to me the moment you decided a 6-year-old sentence was more convenient than facing your own guilt. Ethan nodded slowly. A tear slipped down his cheek, one he quickly wiped away. Ethan, I understand. Tell Noah I'll try to do better. And Sarah, I'm genuinely proud of you. For the first time, she believed him. Ethan turned, walked back into the elevator, and disappeared into the floor numbers, going down. That night, Sarah stood by the window, looking at the city lights. Liam wrapped his arms around her from behind. You okay? Yeah, just thinking how different my life is from what I once imagined. Do you ever miss it? The old life? Sarah smiled. No. I miss the version of me that believes she didn't deserve more. I wish I could go back and hug her. Tell her one day she'll stand in a home like this, not because of a man, but because of who she chose to become. Liam kissed her hair. You know, there are thousands of women out there who feel exactly like she once did. I know. That's why we'll keep building. More scholarships, more chances. Because sometimes all a woman needs is one person to believe she's more than just a mom. In the reflection of the glass, she saw herself. Not as a victim, not as an abandoned wife, but as a woman who walked through fire and came out carrying the match. So, if you're still watching this, remember, never let anyone convince you that you're easily replaceable. Not as a partner, not as a parent, not as a human being. Sometimes the people who throw you away will come back years later asking for another chance. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is not, I hate you, but I've moved on. If this story touched you, don't just scroll away. Share it with someone who needs the reminder that their story isn't over yet. My name is Connor, and I'll see you in the next story. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to help us grow our channel.